Building on that history, we now delve into a different side of the story, the less successful and more controversial moments of cross-dressing in Hollywood. Despite its long presence in movies, some performances were poorly received or ultimately outdated. These moments often lacked sensitivity or depth, instead relying on stereotypes that didn't age well. Over the years, a few actors attempted to portray cross-dressers, but their efforts fell flat, causing discomfort or misrepresentation. Sometimes, these portrayals were used simply for cheap laughs or shock value, rather than meaningful storytelling. Others misunderstood the importance of accurately representing gender identity and expression, leading to criticism from audiences and critics alike. This list aims to highlight the most disappointing, problematic, or awkward attempts in Hollywood history that involved cross-dressing, revealing how some efforts failed to respect or reflect the realities of gender diversity. These examples remind us how Hollywood's approach to this topic has sometimes missed the mark, leading to controversy and backlash that still resonates today. Later, Tilda Swinton is widely recognized for her unique, androgynous look on screen, which has made her stand out in the world of film. She often plays roles that challenge traditional gender expectations, pushing boundaries with her performances. However, in the movie Suspiria released in 2018, her talent for crossing gender lines went even further. Swinton played not just one, but three different characters, including Dr. Joseph Klemperer, an elderly male psychiatrist. To create this convincing transformation, she wore heavy prosthetic makeup, changed her voice, and fully committed to each role, making it very difficult for most viewers to realize she was playing a man. Her performance was so natural that many people watching the film did not even notice she was in a male role. This choice added a mysterious and disturbing feel to the horror story, making the movie even more unsettling. Swinton's ability to transform her appearance and embody different identities is incredible, and has reinforced her reputation as a chameleon-like actress who can disappear into her characters. Throughout her career, she has defied easy labels and challenged gender expectations by blurring the line between male and female on screen. Her work in Suspiria showed her unmatched talent for transforming herself and making gender just another aspect of her acting craft. She has proved time and again that physical appearance and gender are not limits, but tools she can expertly manipulate to serve her art. Her performances continue to inspire and surprise audiences, showing that she can truly take any role to the next level. Many people consider Charlie Chaplin one of the most important figures in silent film comedy. He was known for his creativity and ability to make audiences laugh with simple but clever gestures. In 1915, he appeared in a film called A Woman, where he played a character who dressed as a woman. This was part of a funny disguise he used to get out of a difficult situation. During that time, audiences enjoyed seeing Chaplin act like a woman because his big movements and exaggerated gestures made the comedy even better. He worked very hard to make his cross-dressing scene as funny as possible. He carefully chose his costume, made sure his mannerisms looked just right, and even tested reactions from others to see if they found it funny. Chaplin's goal was to make the scene entertaining and to get laughs. But today, people see his performance differently. Modern viewers think that his cross-dressing act is a reminder of how Hollywood in the past used such performances just to get laughs, not to say anything deep about gender or identity. His performance in A Woman was very popular at the time, but it is now seen as a broad and simple joke rather than a real look at being a man or a woman. Still, his work shows how early movies use humor to explore social customs, even if in a limited way. His dedication to comedy and his talent made him a lasting icon in film history. The portrayal in A Woman reflects the style and attitudes of the early 20th century, an era when cross-dressing was used mainly to entertain, often relying on physical comedy and exaggerated stereotypes rather than a serious message about gender roles. Today, audiences look back at his performance as a piece of history, recognizing both its humor and its limitations, and how it fits into Hollywood's long tradition of using cross-dressing as a comedic tool. Despite being commonly recognized for his intense and serious acting in many movies, Tim Roth also had a rare moment of cross-dressing in the film Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead in 1990. This scene was not a major part of his career, but it was a nod to a very old tradition in theater. The movie was based on a play by Tom Stoppard, which was a humorous and strange version of William Shakespeare's Hamlet. In the play, men playing female roles was a common practice because women were not allowed to perform on stage during the Elizabethan era. Roth's role in this scene was simple, yet he handled it very naturally, showing his ability to adapt to different types of performance. Although the cross-dressing moment was not something that changed ideas about gender in theater, it fit into the long history of actors blurring gender lines to entertain and challenge audiences. This scene helps show that dressing as the opposite gender can be more than just a joke or a costume, but also a way to honor theatrical tradition and explore artistic expression. It connected the old traditions of stage performance with modern ideas about gender. Roth's effortless approach made the scene believable and added to the play's humorous tone, highlighting the ongoing history of gender play in theater and film, where crossing boundaries often adds deeper meaning. This small appearance by Roth reminds us that, even in serious acting careers, moments of theatrical history can come alive unexpectedly, blending humor, tradition, and art in a way that has lasted for centuries. Certainly, in the film Tootsie, released in 1982, Dustin Hoffman played a character who was an actor out of work trying to find a role that would bring him back into the spotlight. To achieve this, he disguised himself as a woman and got a part on a soap opera, which led to many humorous moments. Hoffman's performance was very exaggerated, with a high-pitched voice, big gestures, and a dramatic display of femininity that made audiences laugh. This portrayal was typical of the time, relying on stereotypes about women and gender roles that were common in movies of that era. Hoffman later said he learned to understand women better after playing this role, recognizing how society often treated women unfairly and insensitively. However, many critics believe that the movie did not use cross-dressing to challenge societal ideas about gender. Instead, it turned cross-dressing into a funny situation, focusing on the comedic effect rather than exploring deeper meaning about identity. Despite these criticisms, Tootsie is still remembered as a popular and influential film because of its clever script and strong acting. It also helped open doors for other movies to explore gender and identity with more depth and honesty. But Hoffman's portrayal, while humorous and memorable, reflects the way Hollywood often used cross-dressing as a source of comedy rather than a way to question gender norms or encourage understanding. Overall, Dustin Hoffman's role in Tootsie remains a significant part of Hollywood history, especially in how it portrays gender and comedy in film. Despite the humorous intent of Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon's performances in Some Like It Hot, their gender-bending roles highlight how Hollywood in 1959 often relied on exaggerated stereotypes rather than realistic portrayals. Both actors donned costumes that included tight corsets, heavy wigs, and high heels, which made filming physically demanding and uncomfortable. Curtis once joked that he felt prettier in heels than in loafers, showing how the comedy was partly based on their discomfort and exaggerated femininity. Their high-pitched voices, fluttering eyelashes, and awkward struts were all meant to make the audience laugh, emphasizing the comedy rather than an authentic portrayal of gender identity. The film's humor focused on the absurdity of disguise and slapstick misadventures, reflecting the casual attitude of the era. Even though the performances were over the top, the movie became a beloved comedy classic, thanks to sharp wit and unforgettable scenes. Interestingly, while the film presented cross-dressing mainly for laughs, it also helped shift Hollywood's view of gender roles by bringing more visibility to gender play, setting a foundation for films to explore more complex and respectful portrayals in later years. This combination of humor, discomfort, and pioneering ideas makes Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon's work in this movie both notable and significant in Hollywood history. Meanwhile, Cillian Murphy's role in the 2010 film Peacock marked a significant shift from his earlier performance in Breakfast on Pluto. In Peacock, he played John Skilpa, a man who isolates himself from the outside world. What makes this role unique is that Murphy portrayed John as someone with dissociative identity disorder, presenting himself differently depending on his alter ego, Emma. When Murphy became Emma, his appearance softened, and his manner became gentle, contrasting sharply with his usual tough or intense characters. This stark transformation was unsettling because Murphy shifted smoothly from a fearful, rigid man to a calm, feminine figure. Unlike Breakfast on Pluto, which was more upbeat and celebrated gender diversity through a whimsical lens, Peacock was darker and more psychological. The film explored deep themes of trauma, repression, and identity through Murphy's subtle yet powerful acting. His ability to balance between these two distinct personas showed his talent for inhabiting complex roles. The movie's mood was eerie and slow building, using Murphy's nuanced performance to heighten the tension and feelings of unease. Though Peacock did not gain the same level of fame as some other films Murphy starred in, his portrayal of John and Emma remains memorable for its unsettling depth and insight into psychological torment. His work in this film demonstrated his skill in exploring the hidden struggles of fractured minds, making his performance both haunting and compelling. Murphy's ability to adapt to such a dark and layered character set him apart as an actor capable of handling intense and emotionally complex roles. After making a brief but memorable appearance in Spike Lee's Crooklyn in 1994, RuPaul was already gaining recognition within the drag community but had not yet become a household name. Although their role in the film was small, it held great importance because it marked a moment when drag culture, which had mainly been part of underground scenes and LGBTQ spaces, was being subtly introduced into mainstream Hollywood movies. At that time, Hollywood often misunderstood or ridiculed drag and gender performance, and many people viewed it as something to laugh at rather than appreciate. Despite this, RuPaul's confidence and natural charisma in the film helped challenge these negative perceptions and brought greater awareness to gender diversity. Alongside that, RuPaul released the hit song Supermodel, which became a major anthem and further pushed gender performance into the public eye. These early steps laid the foundation for RuPaul's later success and growing influence. When RuPaul's Drag Race officially launched in 2009, it became a cultural phenomenon, making drag culture known worldwide and transforming it from a hidden art form into a celebrated and respected performance. What started with small appearances like in Crooklyn eventually led to RuPaul's position as the most famous drag performer on the planet. Their impact went beyond entertainment, helping to open minds and challenge stereotypes about gender and identity in mainstream culture. Their journey from a little role in a film to a global icon symbolizes a significant shift in how drag and gender expression are viewed today, setting the stage for decades of cultural change. Despite the title of the video, Robin Williams is better known for his incredible talent as a comedian and actor rather than any connection to controversial or negative portrayals involving cross-dressing. His performance in Mistress Doubtfire in 1993 is often remembered as one of his most iconic roles, showcasing his unique ability to blend comedy with heartfelt emotion. In the film, Williams disguises himself as an elderly Scottish nanny with the goal of spending more time with his children after a divorce. He fully committed to the role, employing an elaborate makeup process that took many hours each day to transform his appearance. While the makeup appeared convincing, the performance itself leaned toward cartoonish exaggeration, highlighting Williams' improvisational skills and physical comedy. His spontaneous improvisations frequently made the cast and crew laugh, and his energetic delivery added a lighthearted charm to the movie. However, some critics believed the humor sometimes overshadowed the emotional core of the story, which was about family love and sacrifice. The portrayal of cross-dressing in Mistress Doubtfire was purely for comedic effect, meant to entertain rather than explore themes of gender identity or fluidity. Williams' skill in balancing humor and sentimentality turned the film into more than a simple comedy. It became an enduring story about a father's love and what he is willing to do for his children. The film remains a beloved example of Williams' talent for creating characters that are both funny and deeply touching, showing the depth of his art and his ability to connect with audiences on many levels. Before Elliot Page publicly shared their transgender identity, they often took on roles that challenged traditional ideas of gender. In the movie Mouth to Mouth from 2005, Page played a character named Sherry, a rebellious teenager who becomes involved with a street group that pushes against normal societal rules. Although Page did not dress in women's clothing in the film, their appearance was androgynous, meaning it did not clearly look like either male or female. This visual choice sparked early conversations about gender fluidity, which means having a gender identity that is not strictly male or female. Even before Page openly identified as transgender, many viewers and critics noticed their talent in acting in parts that avoided typical gender roles. They often played characters who refused to fit into the usual boxes of masculinity or femininity. Mouth to Mouth is not as popular as some of their other films, but it is important because it shows an early interest in exploring questions of identity and gender. This role gave a hint about how Page would later become a leading voice for transgender rights and awareness in Hollywood, inspiring many with their openness and acting skill. Their journey from these early roles to becoming one of the most well-known transgender actors in the world highlights a deep connection to questions about gender and self-expression. Although David Duchovny is best known for his roles as a serious actor in television and film, his portrayal of Denise Bryson in Twin Peaks stands out as a notable part of his career. In the series, Duchovny played the role of Denise Bryson, a transgender woman who is a detective working for the DEA. What makes this portrayal significant is how Denise was shown as a confident and competent law enforcement officer, challenging the stereotypes often seen in media at the time. During the early 1990s, most transgender characters in TV shows were either shown as tragic or comedic figures, but Denise was different. Duchovny portrayed her with dignity and respect, avoiding exaggerated gestures or humor that could be harmful or disrespectful. Her character was introduced as a smart, capable woman who simply happened to be transgender, and the show's characters treated her as an equal, which was rare for that era. This positive depiction helped make Denise a fan favorite, and when Twin Peaks was revived in 2017, Duchovny returned to reprise her role, which reinforced her importance in TV history. His performance contributed to a broader understanding and acceptance of transgender characters on television. While Hollywood still has progress to make in accurately representing trans people, the role of Denise Bryson set a precedent by showing that transgender characters can be portrayed with respect and complexity. Duchovny's participation in this was a significant step toward more inclusive storytelling, and Denise's character remains an example of progress in media portrayal. Since his career began, Terrence Stamp has been known for his intense and often brooding presence on screen, but his role as Bernadette in The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert in 1994 stands out as a rare example of respectful and dignified portrayal of a transgender woman. At a time when such roles were usually played for comedy or exaggerated effects, Stamp chose to present Bernadette with quiet grace and emotional depth. Unlike the energetic and colorful performances of his co-stars Hugo Weaving and Guy Pearce, who played flamboyant drag queens, Stamp brought a calm strength to his character. Bernadette's story is one of a woman facing personal challenges, losing friends, encountering discrimination, and seeking acceptance and love. Through his sensitive performance, Stamp made Bernadette more than just a character in a road trip comedy. She became a symbol of resilience and hope. His portrayal avoided stereotypes and caricatures, emphasizing Bernadette's inner strength, vulnerability, and longing for connection. This role elevated the film beyond its humorous exterior, making it an important film for LGBTQ representation. Stamp's ability to deliver a serious, respectful, and heartfelt performance helped change the way transgender characters were shown in mainstream movies, making his performance in Priscilla a standout moment in cinema history and a significant step forward for more accurate and humane portrayals of transgender people. Eddie Izzard, one of the most influential gender-fluid performers of modern times, has used their public persona to challenge traditional gender norms for many years. Their work as an actor has often reflected their identity, especially in their role as Wayne Malloy, a con artist in the television series The Riches. This role in 2007 showed how seamlessly they could blend their gender-fluid identity into their performance without making it a focus. Throughout their career, Izzard has often appeared in feminine clothing, both on and off the screen, using their position in the entertainment world to promote the idea that gender expression is a matter of personal freedom rather than a strict societal rule. They believe that gender is a social construct and have openly stated that they refuse to limit themselves to one category. Their work in mainstream media has helped normalize gender fluidity, making it easier for others to feel comfortable with their own gender identities. By doing so, Izzard has influenced many young artists and audiences, encouraging a wider acceptance of a broad spectrum of gender expressions. Their willingness to openly discuss and embody gender fluidity has made them a trailblazer in breaking down barriers and challenging old ideas about gender roles. Throughout their career, Eddie Izzard has stood as a symbol of individuality and freedom, demonstrating that gender can be what one chooses to make of it, rather than what society expects. Their influence continues to grow as more people begin to see gender as a personal journey rather than a fixed label. Despite his fame for playing tough, masculine men in Hollywood's golden age, Wallace Beery tried his hand at cross-dressing in his early silent films. However, his performances were not subtle or sensitive. Instead, he relied on exaggerated stereotypes that turned his cross-dressing roles into comedy sketches. Beery used loud gestures, dramatic twirls, and broad facial expressions that made his acting overly theatrical. His approach did not aim to show a deep or realistic portrayal, but to create humor from the visual difference. He was known to say, "If you're going to wear a dress, you better sell it," suggesting he believed in being bold and flamboyant. But in practice, his performances lacked refinement. These acts often felt more like funny routines rather than serious attempts to explore gender or character. As time went on, such performances of cross-dressing became less about storytelling and more about making audiences laugh at the sight of a tough actor in a dress. Hollywood's early cinema frequently used these gender-bending roles to generate quick laughs, often without regard for deeper meaning or understanding of gender identity. Beery's over-the-top style made it hard for viewers to see his characters beyond the gag. Instead of providing meaningful portrayals, his cross-dressing scenes are remembered as part of the larger trend of using gender presentation for comedy in old movies, which reflected more about the era's entertainment style than about genuine exploration of gender or performance art. John Cameron Mitchell's Hedwig and the Angry Inch was not just a film, it was a revolution in queer cinema. As the co-writer, director, and star of the film, Mitchell brought to life a character that became an iconic figure in LGBTQ culture. The film follows Hedwig, a genderqueer East German rock singer who undergoes a botched gender confirmation surgery and embarks on a journey of self-discovery. Unlike most mainstream films at the time that depicted cross-dressing or gender nonconformity in shallow or comedic ways, Hedwig and the Angry Inch was rooted in real LGBTQ experiences. Mitchell's portrayal of Hedwig was deeply personal and electrifying, capturing the struggles, pain, and resilience of someone navigating the complexities of gender identity. The film's raw energy, coupled with an unforgettable soundtrack, turned Hedwig into an enduring cult classic that resonated with audiences far beyond its niche beginnings. Mitchell's performance was mesmerizing, blending humor with heartbreak and defiance. His commitment to the role, both on stage and on screen, helped to ensure that Hedwig became not just a character, but a symbol of transformation, resilience, and the ongoing pursuit of self-acceptance. Hedwig's influence extends far beyond the screen, inspiring countless drag performers, musicians, and queer artists to embrace their authenticity and continue breaking down barriers in the world of entertainment. Despite her reputation as a bold actress, Katharine Hepburn was known for challenging social norms and pushing boundaries through her acting choices. In her film Sylvia Scarlett, made in 1935, she took an even bigger risk by playing a character who disguises herself as a young man to escape difficult circumstances. This role was meant to challenge traditional gender roles and show her willingness to experiment with her image and the way women were portrayed on screen. However, the audience found her masculine disguise unconvincing and struggled to accept her in this role, which caused the film to be a commercial failure. Critics also pointed out that while Hepburn was confident and charismatic, her performance in the disguise did not quite succeed in convincing viewers. Despite this, she later spoke about the experience, saying she wanted to push boundaries, even if she sometimes failed. Her attempt to play with gender norms in Sylvia Scarlett was one of the early moments in Hollywood, where issues of gender identity and representation were brought into conversation. Though the film did not do well financially or critically at the time, it opened up discussions about how gender could be portrayed differently in movies. Looking back, many see this film as a brave step that started important changes in how gender was represented on screen, paving the way for future films to explore gender identity with more understanding and depth. Besides her impressive career, Glenn Close's portrayal of Albert Nobbs in the film Albert Nobbs in 2011 holds a special place in her body of work, because it was a deeply personal project that she worked on for many years. She first brought the character to the stage in the early 1980s, and was determined to tell Albert's story through the big screen. Albert is a woman living in 19th century Ireland who disguises herself as a man to escape poverty and find work, which was very difficult at that time. She lives alone in hiding to protect her secret, showing how strong her desire was to survive and live freely. Close spent a lot of time refining her performance, trying to make it as authentic as possible. Critics appreciated her for showing restraint and being careful with her physical movements, which made the character feel real. However, some felt the performance lacked enough emotional warmth to fully connect with viewers. Close explained, "Albert's story stuck with me for years. I knew it had to be told," showing her deep commitment to the role. Although the film explored important themes of gender and survival in a strict society, it didn't achieve as much success or lasting influence as other films with similar ideas. Still, Her dedication to portraying such a complex and unconventional character shows how much she cares about challenging traditional Hollywood stories. She always seeks roles that push boundaries and tell stories that matter, even if they are not always in the mainstream spotlight. Her work on Albert Nobbs is a reflection of her passion for telling difficult, meaningful stories that make people think about gender, identity, and survival. Her effort reveals her love for challenging roles and her desire to explore new perspectives in her acting career. Her portrayal continues to be remembered for its sincerity, patience, and dedication to artistic truth, showing her ongoing commitment to storytelling that goes beyond surface appearances. Instead, Patrick Swayze played the character of Vita Boheme, a flamboyant and confident drag queen in the 1995 film To Wong Foo. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. He took on the role with enthusiasm and a sense of adventure, embracing the challenge of portraying a drag performer on a major platform. Swayze's performance was notable because it brought a sense of fun and vitality to the character, and he worked hard to carry the film's message of acceptance and celebration of drag culture. It was a bold move for him as an actor to step into a role that was so different from his usual tough guy parts in action movies, and many appreciated his willingness to take risks in such a progressive film. Alongside Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo, Swayze helped introduce mainstream audiences to the world of drag in a way that was both entertaining and respectful. Even though some critics felt the acting was overly theatrical, Swayze's dedication and charisma contributed to making his character memorable and helped push forward conversations about gender expression in Hollywood. The film was significant not only because it showcased drag as an art form, but also because it aimed to normalize gender diversity in popular culture. While the performances might have exaggerated for comic effect, the movie's overall goal was to celebrate individuality and challenge stereotypes, setting the stage for more nuanced portrayals in future movies. Patrick Swayze's involvement in To Wong Foo definitely marked a unique chapter in his career, showing his versatility and openness to embracing new types of roles. The film remains remembered for its catchy performances and its role in expanding the acceptance of LGBTQ themes on the big screen. As a pop culture piece, it continues to be discussed for how it balanced humor, respect, and entertainment in representing drag culture, with Swayze at the forefront as one of the three leading queens. Despite her success in Hollywood, Hilary Swank delivered a performance in Boys Don't Cry in 1999 that remains one of the most powerful portrayals of a transgender man in film history. Her role as Brandon Teena, a young trans man living in 1990s America, was filled with emotional depth and authenticity. Swank committed herself fully to the part by living as a man for several weeks, practicing masculine mannerisms, using a lower vocal tone, and even binding her chest to better understand Brandon's experience. Her intense dedication paid off when she received the Academy Award for Best Actress, a recognition that solidified her position as a talented and serious actress. The movie itself became famous for shedding light on the struggles faced by transgender individuals, exposing viewers to the violence and discrimination that many trans people go through. However, the film's legacy also includes ongoing discussions about representation in Hollywood. Many people in the trans community felt that a transgender actor should have played the role, believing that it was a missed opportunity for authentic representation. This controversy sparked a larger conversation that continues today about who should tell trans stories and how actors are chosen for roles that involve marginalized groups. Nonetheless, Boys Don't Cry remains an important film because it helped bring attention to issues of transphobia, violence, and the need for better representation in media. Swank's performance is still remembered as one of the most compelling and emotionally honest portrayals of a trans character on screen, and it opened the door for more conversations about inclusivity and authenticity in Hollywood storytelling. Despite his reputation as a talented actor, Eddie Redmayne's portrayal of Lily Elbe in The Danish Girl in 2015 remains one of the most controversial moments in Hollywood. Redmayne took on the challenging role of Lily Elbe, one of the first known recipients of gender confirmation surgery. His performance was deeply emotional and required a significant transformation. He studied femininity intensely, worked closely with movement coaches, and immersed himself in understanding the experiences of transgender women to depict Lily Elbe authentically. Many praised Redmayne for his sensitivity and dedication, recognizing the effort he put into the role. However, critics and activists expressed concern about casting a cisgender man in a transgender role. They argued that this choice felt outdated and ignored the ongoing struggle for transgender actors to find visibility and work in Hollywood. This controversy sparked a wider conversation about authentic representation on screen. Redmayne later reflected on the criticism, saying, "I wanted to honor Lily's bravery, but I learned I still had so much to understand." His statement showed a recognition of the ongoing issues and the need for more diverse and genuine storytelling in movies. Although The Danish Girl brought Lily Elba's story to many viewers, it also emphasized how important it is for movies to include transgender actors and tell stories from their real experiences. This debate has become more urgent over the years, highlighting that Hollywood must do better at representing all communities fairly and accurately. Redmayne's portrayal remains a notable example in this ongoing discussion about casting choices and authentic storytelling in cinema. While many know Cillian Murphy for his captivating screen presence and versatile acting skills, his role in the 2005 film Breakfast on Pluto stands out as a bold endeavor to challenge traditional portrayals of transgender characters. In this film, Murphy took on the role of Patrick Kitten Braden, a spirited transgender woman in 1970s Ireland who embarks on a journey to find her mother. This role was ambitious because, at that time, transgender characters rarely appeared in leading roles, especially with such a complex personality and storyline. Murphy dedicated himself to understanding the character deeply, collaborating with LGBTQ communities to observe the subtle nuances of trans femininity and fully embracing Kitten's flamboyant and whimsical nature. His dedication was evident in the way he portrayed Kitten's free-spiritedness, aiming to bring warmth and authenticity to the character. Nonetheless, some critics expressed concern that Murphy's performance leaned too much into eccentricity, perceiving Kitten more as a caricature than as a real person, which sparked debate about the portrayal of trans characters in film. Murphy responded by saying he wanted to portray Kitten with love and respect, emphasizing the importance of representation. Despite mixed reviews, Breakfast on Pluto was notable as one of the few films from that era, featuring a transgender protagonist, highlighting themes of acceptance, humor, and adventure. It was a film that dared to tell a story that was rarely seen on screen, even if critics debated whether the performance was fully nuanced or exaggerated. Murphy's portrayal remains a significant part of his career because it challenged stereotypes and pushed boundaries in Hollywood's depiction of trans characters. Despite being known primarily as an actor and musician, Jared Leto has often taken risks when it comes to his appearances and performances. He is willing to go to extreme lengths to portray his characters convincingly. For example, in the movie Chapter 27 in 2007, he gained nearly 70 pounds to portray Mark David Chapman, the man who murdered John Lennon. This was a very drastic physical change that showed his commitment to his craft. But what surprised many people was an off-screen act he did during the movie's promotional tour. Leto attended film festivals dressed entirely in drag, embracing a feminine look and persona. This wasn't part of the film story, but it was part of his artistic way of exploring gender identity and expression. Many saw this as a way for him to challenge traditional ideas about gender roles, even outside his acting roles. Some people thought it was just for publicity, but others believed it was a way for him to make a bold statement about gender fluidity and acceptance in Hollywood. Later, Jared Leto continued to question gender expectations by playing Rayon in the movie Dallas Buyers Club in 2013. Which earned him an Academy Award. His role brought more attention to transgender issues, but also led to debates about whether cisgender actors should play transgender characters. Throughout his career, Leto has shown a willingness to push boundaries and redefine how gender is perceived in film and entertainment. However, despite her fame as a singer and actress, Barbra Streisand's ambitious film Yentl from 1983 marked a significant moment in her career. In this movie, she told the story of a young Jewish woman in the early 20th century who disguises herself as a man to get an education because women were not allowed to study religious texts at that time. By doing this, Streisand showed her passion for storytelling and her desire to bring important social issues to the screen. Not only did she star in the film, but she also directed it, which was a groundbreaking achievement for any woman at that time. She became the first woman to win a Golden Globe for Best Director. Critics praised her singing voice, but many said her attempt to look and act like a man was not entirely convincing. The physical disguise and the way she moved and spoke did not fully fool viewers, and some felt her performance seemed more like her stage persona than a real person in disguise. Her voice, meant to sound more masculine, also showed her struggle to make the transformation complete. Still, the film's importance went beyond its technical parts. It brought a story about gender inequality and the fight for education to mainstream audiences, encouraging people to think about women's rights and representation. Although the execution had flaws, Yentl became a landmark film, demonstrating Streisand's strength as a performer and filmmaker. It showed that taking artistic risks can lead to new and meaningful achievements. Despite Jared Leto's Oscar-winning performance in Dallas Buyers Club, where he portrayed Rayon, a transgender woman living with AIDS in the 1980s, his role became a subject of debate and controversy in Hollywood. Leto fully committed to his role, losing weight and staying in character off-set, even refusing to answer to his own name during filming. His intense method acting drew praise for the emotional depth and authenticity he was able to bring to Rayon, a character that helped shed light on the AIDS crisis and the lives of marginalized communities. However, many in the transgender community expressed concern about the casting choice, feeling that it perpetuated outdated stereotypes and did not provide opportunities for trans actors to tell their own stories. They questioned why Hollywood continued to cast cisgender actors in trans roles, when trans performers often struggled to find work in the industry. Leto defended his casting by stating that actors should be allowed to play any role, but critics argued that such portrayals often relied on stereotypes rather than delivering an authentic and respectful representation of trans people. This controversy highlighted broader issues in Hollywood about who gets to tell stories about marginalized groups, and whether cisgender actors should take on trans roles at the expense of trans actors themselves. While Dallas Buyers Club remains a powerful film that brought important issues to the forefront, its casting choices continue to spark discussions about the need for better representation and voice for the trans community in Hollywood. Gael Garcia Bernal's portrayal of Cassandro in the film Cassandro, released in 2023, showcased his remarkable talent and dedication as an actor. In this role, Bernal brought to life the true story of Saul Armendariz, a gay wrestler who became famous for his flamboyant exotico persona in lucha libre. Traditionally, exoticos are male wrestlers who perform in costumes that are gender non-conforming and often exaggerated, sometimes seen as comic or villainous characters. However, Cassandra broke that mold by gaining respect from both fans and fellow wrestlers, defying stereotypes with his bold personality and fearless attitude. To accurately depict Cassandro, Bernal underwent intense physical training to master the energetic and dramatic movements typical of lucha libre wrestling. He also immersed himself emotionally, capturing the struggles of someone fighting against the deeply rooted machismo culture of the wrestling world. Bernal's performance reflected the humor, resilience, and vulnerability of Cassandro, making it feel genuine and heartfelt. The film didn't just focus on wrestling, but also explored themes of identity and acceptance, highlighting the challenges faced by those who challenge societal norms. Bernal's ability to portray these complex emotions made his performance one of his most acclaimed and moving works. His dedication helped audiences see the importance of staying true to oneself and breaking down barriers. Through his compelling acting, Bernal brought Cassandro's story to life, inspiring many and shining a light on issues of gender and societal expectations. Despite the controversial title of the video, Johnny Depp's role in the film Ed Wood in 1994 stands out as a unique example of a Hollywood actor portraying a character with cross-dressing elements in a respectful and heartfelt manner. In this film, Depp played the real-life B-movie director Edward D. Wood Jr., a filmmaker known for his passion and unconventional style. Wood was a man who loved making movies despite frequent rejection and skepticism from the mainstream industry. Depp's performance captured Wood's essence as a dreamer, someone who found happiness and comfort in wearing Angora sweaters and dressing in women's clothing, which he did not do for comedy, but as a genuine expression of who he was. Unlike many previous portrayals that used cross-dressing for jokes, Depp's portrayal was sincere, emphasizing kindness and human complexity. Under Tim Burton's direction, the film portrayed Wood's gender expression not as a strange trait, but as part of his joyful personality, celebrating his artistic spirit. Depp's commitment to understanding and humanizing Wood's eccentricities helped change how cross-dressing was viewed in main cinema, highlighting that gender nonconformity can be a natural form of self-expression. The film remains a tribute to misfits and creative souls who pursue their passions despite societal rejection, making Johnny Depp's role notable for its warmth, authenticity, and respect for difference. As a part of Hollywood history, this performance contributed to a broader shift toward more genuine and diverse representations of gender identity on screen, making it an important example of acceptance and understanding. Despite the controversy surrounding Pink Flamingos, Devine's performance as Babs Johnson remains iconic and powerful. His portrayal was a bold statement that challenged societal norms and mainstream ideas of gender and decency. Instead of conforming to typical Hollywood stereotypes, Devine chose to embody an exaggerated, rebellious persona that shocked audiences and critics alike. The film's raw and provocative tone was a deliberate attack on traditional Hollywood beauty standards and moral values, making Devine a symbol of resistance. His appearance in outrageous costumes, his exaggerated gestures, and the shocking scenes he performed all served to push boundaries and refused to fit into standard roles. Many viewed Pink Flamingos as pure shock value, but supporters saw it as a form of activism and liberation. Devine's work helped break down barriers, allowing more acceptance for drag performers and queer artists in film and culture. His role showed that drag could be a serious form of self-expression and art, not just a joke or costume. Over the years, Devine's influence has grown, inspiring future generations to embrace gender fluidity and push creative limits. His legacy continues to impact the depiction of drag and LGBTQ stories in cinema, making him a true pioneer whose actions continue to echo in today's diverse entertainment landscape. While Hollywood has often explored the theme of cross-dressing in movies, not all portrayals have been successful or respectful. Many performances were awkward or affected, based on outdated stereotypes rather than authentic understanding. Some actors approached the role without sensitivity, resulting in off-putting or offensive scenes that upset viewers. Often, these moments were created for quick laughs or shock, rather than to advance meaningful stories or promote awareness. Over time, the industry has learned that portraying gender diversity requires thought and respect, but the past shows many missteps. Viewing these examples helps us understand how Hollywood's treatment of cross-dressing has evolved, and the importance of accurate representation today. It is a reminder that entertainment can shape perceptions, and doing so responsibly is crucial to respecting all people's identities. Each mistake in the past offers a lesson, helping filmmakers move toward a future where diversity is celebrated and honestly depicted. The list of these moments serves as a record of Hollywood's struggles and progress when it comes to portraying gender identities with